And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Welcome back to Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona. My special guest, Sibel Edmonds, heroine of the Revolution. Yeah, that's always, I tell you what, when they make the list of the people that made a difference, made a real difference, risked their lives and their livelihood, Sibel, she's going to be on the list, if not that they're near the top. On the top, as it has anything to do with attractiveness. Just throw that one your way, Sibel. One thing I want to hear about is Richard Holbrooke's successor, Mark Grossman. Now, I'm going to give a little bit on Grossman's thing. Grossman's diplomatic career includes 3 years as a U.S. ambassador to Turkey. That's where you know a lot about him, I'm sure. 4 years as the Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs, and 3 years as Assistant Secretary of State for European Affairs. Then that qualified him. He proved to be a senior scumbag, and he goes off into the private sector, makes a big chunk of change, and then all of a sudden, he's on the list to come back. Now, this is some of the things that he's written. Why not demand in a Middle East final act that they live up to their rhetoric by allowing insiders and outsiders to judge the distance between promises and policies, just as Helsinki allowed the world to judge the former Soviet empire? And I'm going, he wants to judge Egypt. How far off am I?
And let me add one thing. A lot of people, they think that these guys, the revolving doors examples, the big mammoth examples like Grossman, it starts from the time that they leave the government. In this case, let's say Grossman in 2005. They don't realize that these deals that they make to get these positions start long before they leave the government. And that's also true for the congressional people, okay? This is one of the things we did at the FBI. We had counterintelligence operations on certain foreign entities, whether they are foreign diplomatic entities or the foreign organizations, etc. And when we gathered information, when I say we, the FBI, it's not only the foreigners, but also the U.S. persons who were dealing with these foreigners, okay? So I'll call that surveillance. Well, that involved, many, many congressional offices who were the recipients of direct and indirect donations to their campaigns by foreign companies and foreign individuals, and also people in the State Department and also the Pentagon. So I have an interview that people can listen to at my boilingfrogspost.com. FBI agent John Cole, he was with the FBI for almost 20 years. He was heading the counterintelligence for the countries of Pakistan, Afghanistan, and India, okay? And during this interview, and right now he's working for the Air Force, John Cole said, I confirm that for the files that I was heading, Mark Grossman for many years was the target of FBI investigations on espionage-related activities, okay? So you have this. Mark Grossman in 2005, after he left, he joined the lobby group that is called Cohen. This is the former Defense Secretary Cohen. And he represents the defense military-industrial complex firms such as the Lockheed Martin is one of them. Sikorsky is one of them. He also, the lobby also represents the UAE, United Arab Emirates, and also Turkey and India. He was also hired by this very shady, this is internationally known shady Turkish company called Ihlas Holding for $100,000 a month. That's $1.2 million a year to provide some consulting and advice. And nobody is saying on what, okay? So this man is now appointed by Hillary Clinton to be the envoy for Afghanistan and Pakistan.
Okay, let me read one of his quotes here. The U.S. commitment to Turkey's success is part of a larger U.S. goal to work towards a U.S.-European partnership for the 21st century. He said he also noted that he sees Turkey as a model for the Muslim world. Turkey is a country that is simultaneously secular, democratic, and Islamic. He is all about his Turkey connections as part of whatever our foreign policy is in the region. Turkey be our boys. Now,
yes, he's been getting millions of dollars from his Turkish clients. That's number one.
Was that a minimum job requirement for him to go in, take on Holbrooke's place? What's going on here?
Well, it's very interesting because before he became the ambassador in Turkey, he worked for the U.S. Embassy in Pakistan. And you're looking at these years, 1979 till 1984. And one of the things that nobody is talking about is what he was doing there. One of his areas was actually coordinating the CIA's efforts with the fighters, which Al-Qaeda, back then not under the name Al-Qaeda, under the name Mujahideens, were going against the Soviet Union. And he was working with these Islamic groups, the ones that right now, he calls extremists. Back then, they were really good friends. So he was working with these groups between 1979 to 1984, and that included the Taliban, okay? From the embassy in Pakistan, from that office, until 1984, before he actually went to Turkey, and then he was appointed as an ambassador for Turkey. So this guy with his shady past, both in terms of the past in government, but then afterwards with all these, he's a foreign agent, okay? And you have to kind of simplify for people because it's not really complicated. Because if you're talking in terms of business, these issues of conflict of interest will become, tremendously important. Yet here, we are looking into our government, and we see this revolving doors revolving and keep revolving and keep revolving, and then we wonder, why are we in such a mess?
Oh,
and
no,
who benefits?
I don't wonder. It's because we're, we're scum. Okay, they're they, them, those. I go, we just want to be left alone. And there are those that won't leave us alone, and and that's how you know who the bad guys are. And they always say they. Who are they? And I go, they, them, those, whoever the heck, the guys that won't leave me alone, that won't keep taking my money, that won't be in my name going to war around the planet, that don't serve someone else's interests. And that's where you came in as you're translating some of these communications, these organizations and so on that are having influence in Congress and our lawmaking, in the bureaucracy here. And you know what? Not a whole lot of people can listen and speak Azerbaijani, Farsi, and Turkish. Well, you can. So you're sitting there working for the FBI. All this stuff starts to come out. And when you want to, you make it known that, hey, man, these guys are, we got some counter-espionage spy people thing going on. They go, shut up.
Absolutely. That's a good summary.
Now, this is the part that I want to dwell on. The people, the very people that Grossman is working with, representing in Turkey, that interest, these are the bad guys. You know it. They know you know it. And they're not going to want you to be talking about it a whole lot now, do they?
No, they don't. And the mainstream media, they didn't want to hear about it either. They didn't want to write about it.
Because they're too stupid. They're lapdogs of the military-industrial New World Order empire. We rule you people.
Absolutely. And it's totally nonpartisan. It's not a Democrat or Republican issue. There is no such a thing as New York Times being liberal or Democrat and the other ones. No. You're looking at the mainstream media, all of them, they are working as a PR machine for the government, for the federal government, and also for the, military-industrial complex, the corporate interests.
Let me ask you this, Sibel. Over the years, at first, I remember you having a little bit more faith in the system more than the people. I have a lot of faith in the people. I really do. Sooner or later, they're just going to, okay, I break with thee, I break with thee, I break with thee, and they're just going to be done with all this, they rule me and rip me off stuff. But they use the system, the governmental system, the Constitution, as they set it up, this plantation they put us on, that might not be the way. I want to hear your way when we come back And we talk.
Awakening.
Right,
Call it the
and how that
awakening.
manifests itself. We're going to talk about it when we come back in just a little bit with Sibel Edmonds here on Declare Your Independence.